the Orishas are, number one, the forces of nature personified. We personify them. The ocean is so vast that the only way me as the human can comprehend that vastness is to say, Olokun is the bottom of the ocean, Konla is the white foam on the ocean, Ogunti is a wave hitting the sea, Achaba is an anchor in the ocean. I break it up into parts that are digestible for me, but I don't fool myself. The ocean came before me. Okay, and for millennia, we looked at the ocean, we noticed its behavior, we noticed that certain ones of us behave just like it. Okay, and we call that person a child of that natural force. Okay, knowing that you are a child of that natural force, that is your place in the universe, that is part of your contract with creation, allows you to shamelessly be yourself. Okay? And in shamelessly being yourself, you are merged with all of nature. Okay? Now, one of the problems that people have in understanding this is that Western investigators did the anthropomorphic thing that separated us from nature. So people will say, well, you know, when you're talking about Shango, you're talking about the fourth Alafin of Oyo, a man who was a king in Nigeria. Yes, that's true, but that man was named after the deity. And that man becomes part of the folklore of the mythology of the deity. He was a child of the thunder. He had a thundering voice. He ruled. He had issues of justice. And when he died, and this is where Christians get upset with me, there is no difference between me saying Obako So that the man Shango, who was the son of thunder, ascended. That's the JC story all over again, okay? A man who was the son of God, went through some stuff, you know, ended up being hung next to two thieves, proved himself to be above that, and they say he ascended. We are all going to ascend if we fulfill our contract with creation. Like the Greeks have the constellations and the stars, okay? Everybody has it. I have seen the Native American cosmology projected onto the stars at the Chabot Space and Science Center. If we could do that with every culture, we would know that we're all under one heaven. We would know it. We would be able to feel it, you know? So that's some of the work of just making us understand that we are swimming in the mystery, and we're not separate from it. And the Orishas are not separate.
Even the Hebrew Kabbalistic tradition is very similar, because all of these traditions are fundamentally grounded in the reality of the polyphrenic psyche that we all have, with its many chords and qualities.
Yes, existence is. I mean, it really is. One of the things I tell my students is it doesn't matter what country you come from or what language you speak. If I give you a picture of a woman holding a newborn baby, we all get the same message. Some of us will say Yemaya and Shango, some of us will say Isis and Osiris, some of us will say Mary and Jesus, but we all know that there is the universal law that the mother and the child, you know, are an incredible phenomenon of nature. The fact of birth, you know, and of creation through the mother, everybody understands that.
Well, one of the unique features of Christianity, which has become such a world force, is that it has taken the good and the evil aspects of nature and separated them out into opposite polarities. You have Christ here, you have Satan there, and when the Christians of medieval times and even more modern times looked at other traditions that didn't do that, pagan traditions, in the Jewish tradition, and they projected out and saw this is evil. And so when you say we fear the African traditions, there's part of it is because it's being seen, I think, with a distorted lens of a kind of diabolic or demonic projection.
Well, you know, that's a problem everywhere. Most peoples who are, you know, I've started using the phrase primal life people to mean people who still live very close to the earth, people who live in the rainforest, people who never drop those traditions, and those of us who have been urbanized and secularized who are trying to come back to it. I've started calling us ecocentrics, you know, because the old phrases of primitive has no meaning, that negative meaning of people who don't know anything or who don't do anything or who are wild, crazy, evil. All of that is crap, actually. And what we find is that when people live closer to nature, that heavy separation, that long separation of good and evil has no validity. You know, rain in proportion is good. Too much of it is evil. Sun in proportion is good. Too much of it is evil, right? You know, giving in proportion is good. Too much of it is no good. So we in our tradition did not ever have a devil. I need to say that real clear. We never ever had a devil. What we had was a trickster who represented the dynamics of chaos and order, okay, and who was responsible for creating both chaos and order. His name is, one of his names is Elegba. And so when you had missionaries coming in and they were told, if what we call an accident happens, this is the work of Elegba. Okay, that which is impossible, absurd, irregular, is the work of Elegba. They called him the devil. Okay, I say that Elegba is obeying a law that we don't understand. You know, there is something in nature that we have not comprehended that Elegba knows, but we have never had an all-powerful devil. Everything is composed of day and night, you know, and the medicine is in finding right relationship, you know, to action and inaction, to the Legba stands in the crossroads between the visible and the invisible, between the potential and the actual, between order and chaos, and is in the center of the cycles that keep life going, you know. So that judgment doesn't make sense if you really look at how nature works, and these traditions are based on how nature works. story, you're gonna love it. Right now it don't make sense, right? But every time you chant this, you're asking for money. So y'all gonna learn to love it. Right? Okay. Do it with me. Oro Shano Iao Oro Shano. Let's do it again.